Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the UE's Vengeance, watching the stars through the big window. His ship was the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. It was 3 miles long and carried weapons that could destroy entire planets. But today, Jake felt powerless as he watched the red warning lights flash across his control panels. "Captain, we're getting the final message from New Eden Colony," said Lisa Parker, the communications officer. Her voice was shaking. She had been trying to reach the colony for 3 hours, but the signals were getting weaker. Jake walked over to her station. "Put it on the main screen." The image that appeared made everyone in the command center go silent. The screen showed a burning city. Buildings were falling down, and smoke covered everything. A man's voice came through the speakers, breaking up with static. "This is Colony Director Brown on New Eden. The Kethfer ships are bombing our cities. They're not taking prisoners. They're killing everyone, men, women, children. We tried to surrender, but they won't listen. Tell Earth that we tried to be peaceful. Tell them what these monsters did to us." The transmission cut to static. Lisa tried to get the signal back, but there was nothing. 3 million people had lived on New Eden Colony. Families who had left Earth to find a better life among the stars. Now they were all dead. "Sir, Admiral Rodriguez is calling from Earth Fleet Command," said Ryan Davis, the tactical officer. He was a big man who had fought in many battles, but even he looked upset. The Admiral's face appeared on a smaller screen. Claire Rodriguez had been fighting aliens for 10 years. She had tried to find peaceful ways to end the war, but the Kethfar kept killing humans wherever they found them. "Jake, I know what you just saw. New Eden was our last colony outside the solar system. The Kethvar have killed everyone on 12 human worlds. They've rejected every peace offer we made. They killed every diplomat we sent to them. The Global Council has made a decision." Jake knew what was coming. For 5 years, humanity had tried to be the good guys. They had offered to share their technology. They had tried to make peace treaties. They had even offered to give up some of their worlds if the Kethfer would stop the killing. But the aliens had laughed at every offer. "The Council has authorized Operation Scorched Stars," Admiral Rodriguez continued. "No more mercy. No more peace talks. We're going to show these aliens what happens when they try to wipe out humanity." Ryan Davis stepped forward. "Admiral R. We really going to use the quantum devastator array? That weapon can destroy entire planets." "Yes, Commander. The Kethfer want to see humans extinct. They celebrate every time they kill one of our people. They build monuments out of human bones. They've made it clear that this war will only end when either they're all dead or we are. The Council has chosen to make sure we're the ones who survive." Jake felt something cold in his stomach. The quantum devastator array was the most terrible weapon humans had ever created. They had built it as a last resort, hoping they would never have to use it. The weapon could tear holes in space itself, destroying everything on a planet's surface in just a few hours. "What are our orders, Admiral?" Jake asked. "You will take the Vengeance to Kethfer space. Your first target is their home world. 12 billion aliens live there. They all support the war against humanity. Intelligence reports say they have parades every time they get news of human deaths. Show them what human justice looks like." Amy Wells, the chief engineer, had been listening quietly. She was a small woman, but she knew more about weapons than anyone else on the ship. "Captain, the quantum devastator is ready. We tested it on dead asteroids. It works exactly as designed. When we fire it at a planet, nothing will survive." Dr. Carl Bennett, the science officer, brought up a holographic display. It showed the Kethfer home system. "Sir, I've been studying their world. It's covered with cities. They have no idea we're coming. Our stealth technology is better than anything they have. We can get close enough to use the Devastator before. They even know we're there. Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people who had joined the military to protect Earth and human colonies. They had families back home. Many of them had lost friends and relatives in the war. Now they were being asked to kill billions of aliens. I know this is hard, Jake said to everyone in the command center. 5 years ago, none of us thought we would be doing something like this. But the HFY made their choice. They decided that humans should not exist. They've killed our people, destroyed our worlds, and rejected every chance for peace. Now they're going to learn that humanity can be just as dangerous as they are. Lisa Parker looked up from her communication station. Captain, I'm getting reports from other human ships. The HFY are bragging about New Eden on their news broadcasts. They're showing videos of our people being killed. They're treating it like entertainment. That was the final piece that Jake needed to hear. He had been hoping that maybe some of the HFY people were against the war. Maybe some of them wanted peace. But if they were celebrating the murder of human families, then they had made their choice. All right, everyone. We have our orders. Tony Martinez, set course for the HFY home system. Maximum stealth. Amy, start charging the quantum devastator. We're going to end this war, but we're going to do it on our terms. The crew began preparing for the mission. Jake walked back to the big window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens who had killed his people were celebrating. They thought they had won. They thought humans were too weak to fight back effectively. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jake had joined the military to explore space and protect human colonies. He had wanted to meet alien species and learn about their cultures. He had hoped that humans and aliens could be friends among the stars, but the HFY had different ideas. They saw humans as inferior beings who should be eliminated. They had turned space into a battlefield and made it impossible for humans to live in peace. Now Jake was going to show them the price of their hatred. The quantum devastator array was ready. His crew was ready. And Jake Morrison was ready to become the man who would reduce alien worlds to wastelands with no mercy at all. The war was about to change forever. The U's vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the HFY system. Captain Jake Morrison felt his heart beating fast as he looked at the enemy home world on the main screen. After traveling for 6 days through hyperspace, they had finally reached their target. Helen, what are you seeing on sensors? Jake asked Lieutenant Helen Brooks, who was working at the sensor station. Captain, there are hundreds of alien warships around their planet. Big defense stations, too. They have enough firepower to destroy a normal fleet. Helen looked worried as she read the numbers. But, sir, they don't know we're here. Our stealth systems are working perfectly. Tony Martinez, the navigation officer, was studying the planet's surface. Sir, I'm seeing massive cities everywhere. Billions of aliens down there. And, Captain, you need to see this. Tony put images from the planet on the main screen. Jake felt sick when he saw what the aliens had built. Huge monuments made from bones covered the landscape. The bones were from different species the HFY had conquered and killed. Those are human bones, said Dr. Carl Bennett quietly. Look at the skull shapes. They built monuments to celebrate killing our people. Amy Wells, the chief engineer, was checking her weapon systems. Captain, the quantum devastator array is charged and ready. We can fire whenever you give the order. Jake was about to speak when Lisa Parker interrupted. Sir, we're getting a transmission from the planet. It's from their Grand Admiral. Put it on screen, Jake ordered. A huge alien appeared on the screen. Grand Admiral Zeekthar was 9 feet tall with gray skin and sharp teeth. His eyes were completely black, and when he smiled, Jake could see that his teeth had been filed to. "Points. Human ship," Zekthar said in perfect English. "We have been expecting you. We knew your species would eventually try to fight back, but you are too late. We have killed all your colonies. Soon we will come to your home world and finish what we started." Zekthar held up something that made Jake's blood run cold. It was a human skull, small enough to belong to a child. The alien leader licked it with his long tongue. "Your people taste better than most species we have conquered. The young ones are especially sweet. When we reach Earth, we will save some of your children for our victory feast." Jake felt rage building inside him. Around the command center, his crew was getting angry too. Ryan Davis was gripping his control panel so hard his knuckles were white. Lisa Parker had tears in her eyes. "Grand Admiral," Jake said, keeping his voice calm, "I have a message for you from humanity." "Oh, a final plea for mercy?" Zekthar laughed. "We do not give mercy to inferior species. You will all die just like the others." "No," Jake said. "This is not a plea for mercy. This is humanity's final diplomatic message. You wanted to see what monsters look like. We are about to show you." Jake cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "Amy, bring the quantum devastator to full power. Sandra, prepare to fire on my command." Chief Weapons Officer Sandra Phillips had been waiting for this moment. She had lost her brother when the Kethfer attacked the Mars research station. Her fingers moved across her control panel, targeting the planet below. "Devastator at full power, Captain. All targeting systems locked on to the planet's surface. We can hit every major population center at once." "Sir?" Helen Brooks called out. "The alien fleet is moving toward us. They're finally detecting our ship." Jake looked at the tactical display. 300 alien warships were turning toward the Vengeance. Their weapons were powering up, and they were sending threatening messages on all frequencies. "It doesn't matter," Jake said. "They're too late. Tony, how long until we're in perfect firing position?" 30 seconds, Captain. We'll have maximum coverage of all inhabited areas." Jake thought about New Eden Colony. He thought about the 3 million people who had died there. He thought about all the other human worlds the Kethvar had destroyed. He thought about the monuments made from human bones. "Sandra, fire the quantum devastator array." "Firing now, sir." The weapon made no sound, but Jake could feel the power flowing through the ship. On the main screen, he watched as invisible beams of energy reached down toward the planet. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the destruction began. The quantum energy tore holes in space itself. Where the beams touched the planet's surface, matter simply stopped existing. Cities vanished in seconds. Mountains disappeared. The oceans began to boil away into space. "My God," whispered Dr. Bennett. "It's working exactly as we calculated. A quantum cascade is spreading across the entire planet." Jake watched 12 billion aliens die in just a few hours. The Kethver fleet was screaming panic messages as they watched their home world turn into hell. Some ships tried to flee. Others tried to attack the Vengeance. "Destroy every ship that tries to escape," Jake ordered. "Ryan, use all conventional weapons. I want every alien in this system dead." The battle was not really a battle. The Vengeance was too advanced for the Kethvar ships. Human missiles tore through alien hulls like paper. Laser beams cut their ships in half. Within 2 hours, the entire alien fleet was destroyed. On the main screen, Jake watched the final stages of the planet's destruction. The quantum devastator had done its work perfectly. Where there had once been a thriving world with billions of aliens, there was now just a ball of cooling rock floating in space. "Captain," Helen Brooks said quietly, "I'm not detecting any life signs from the planet. Everything is gone." Amy Wells was checking her instruments. The weapon performed exactly as designed. Complete quantum dissolution of all organic matter. The planet's core is destabilizing. In a few days, it will break apart completely. Jake looked around at his crew. They had just committed genocide against an entire species. But as he thought about what the HFY had done to humanity, he felt no guilt. They had made their choice when they decided to try to wipe out the human race. Lisa, send a message to Earth Fleet Command. Tell them that HFY Prime has been destroyed. 12 billion aliens are dead. The home world of our enemies no longer exists. Yes, sir. Admiral Rodriguez will want a full report. Jake nodded. Tell the Admiral that Phase 1 of Operation Scorched Stars is complete. Ask for our next target. We're not done yet. Dr. Bennett was studying the remains of the planet. Captain, the quantum energy is still active down there. It's creating a permanent dead zone in space. Nothing will ever be able to live in this system again. Good, Jake said. Let it be a monument to what happens when someone tries to destroy humanity. Now everyone prepare for hyperspace jump. We have more alien worlds to visit. As the Vengeance left the HFY system, Jake took one last look at the dead planet. The aliens had wanted to see humans extinct. Instead, they had learned that humanity could be more dangerous than any monster in the galaxy. The war was far from over, but Jake had sent a clear message to every alien species. Humanity would no longer be the victim. From now on, anyone who threatened humans would face the same fate as HFY Prime. Complete and total destruction. News of HFY Prime's destruction spread across the galaxy faster than wildfire. Captain Jake Morrison stood in his command center reading intelligence reports that came from all over known space. Alien species that had never talked to humans before were suddenly very interested in making contact. Captain, you need to hear this, said Kate Young, the intelligence officer. She was a smart woman who could speak 12 alien languages. I've been listening to alien news broadcasts. They're calling us the Death Bringers now. Some species are having emergency meetings about humanity. Jake walked over to her station. What are they saying exactly? The Zelenary Confederacy wants to negotiate. They're offering to pay us massive amounts of money and give us their entire fleet if we promise not to attack them. The Metherian Republic is doing the same thing. They're all scared, Captain. Lisa Parker looked up from her communications station. Sir, I'm getting direct messages from alien governments. They want to talk about peace treaties. Some of them are begging us not to destroy their worlds. Jake felt no sympathy for the aliens. For 5 years, humanity had begged for peace while the HFY killed human families. These same alien species had watched humans die and done nothing to help. Some had even helped the HFY by selling them weapons and supplies. Send them all the same message, Jake said. Tell them that humanity tried peace for 5 years. We offered to share our technology, our knowledge, even our worlds. You all watched the HFY murder our people, and you did nothing. Some of you helped them. There will be no negotiations now. Ryan Davis was studying tactical reports at his station. Captain, we have intelligence on our next target. HFY. Secondus is an industrial world where they built weapons to kill humans. But, sir, there's something else. Intelligence says they had prison camps there. Dr. Carl Bennett brought up images on the main screen. Jake felt his anger grow as he looked at what the aliens had built. The planet had huge factories where they made bombs and guns. But worse than that were the prison compounds scattered across the surface. According to our intelligence, Dr. Bennett said, they kept human prisoners on this world. They forced them to work in the weapons factories. When the humans got too weak to work, they used them for medical experiments. Amy Wells stopped checking. Her weapons systems. Medical experiments? What kind of experiments? The worst kind, Bennett replied. They wanted to learn how humans felt pain. They kept detailed records of how long humans could survive different types of torture. They did surgery on living people without any pain medicine. They treated our people like laboratory animals. Security Chief Paul Graham stepped forward. He was a tough man who had fought in ground battles against aliens. "Captain, request permission to lead boarding parties when we reach the planet. If there are any human prisoners still alive, we need to get them out before we use the quantum." "Devastator." Jake nodded. "Permission granted, Paul. Take whoever you need. But be careful. Intelligence says there might be alien booby traps designed to kill any humans who try to rescue prisoners." The UE's Vengeance jumped to hyperspace toward HFY. Secondus. During the 3-day journey, Jake received more intelligence reports. The aliens on the target world knew that humanity was coming for them. They were trying to evacuate their most important people, but most of the population was trapped on the planet. When they arrived at HFY, Secondus, Jake was surprised by what he saw. The planet looked almost like Earth, with blue oceans and the green continents. It would have been beautiful if not for the massive industrial complexes that covered half the land surface. "Helen, what are you detecting?" Jake asked Lieutenant Helen Brooks. "Sir, there are still millions of aliens on the planet. They have some defense ships, but nothing that can threaten us. I'm also detecting human life signs from several locations. On the surface." Paul Graham was already preparing his rescue teams. "Captain, give me 6 hours to get our people out. Then you can destroy this whole world." "You have 4 hours, Paul. I don't want to risk losing you and your teams if the aliens try something clever." Graham and his Marines took shuttles down to the planet's surface. Jake watched on the tactical screens as they fought their way into the prison compounds. The aliens were trying to kill the human prisoners before the rescue teams could reach them. After 3 hours, Graham reported back. "Captain, we found them. But sir, you're not going to like what we discovered down here. Tell me, Paul." "We rescued 47 humans who were still alive. But Captain, there were thousands more. The aliens have been doing experiments on our people for 3 years. They have detailed records of everything they did. Torture, surgery, breeding programs where they treated humans like cattle." Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. "Breeding programs?" "Yes, sir. They were trying to create humans who would be better slaves. They kept detailed genetic records. Captain, they have rooms full of human children they were experimenting on. Most of them didn't survive." The command center went completely silent. Jake looked around at his crew and saw the same cold anger in their eyes that he felt in his heart. These aliens had not just killed humans in battle. They had treated human beings like things to be used and thrown away. "Paul, get our people back to the ship immediately. Everyone else, prepare the quantum devastator. We're going to make sure this world suffers before it dies." Amy Wells was working at her weapons station with new determination. "Captain, I'm modifying the devastator. Settings. Instead of quick destruction, I can make the quantum field work slower. The planet will take longer to die, and everyone on it will know what's happening to them." "Do it," Jake said without hesitation. When the rescue shuttles returned, Jake met the human survivors in the medical bay. What he saw there made him understand that mercy was something humanity could no longer afford. The rescued humans were broken in body and spirit. They had been tortured so badly that some of them were afraid of their own rescuers. Dr. Bennett examined the alien records that Graham had brought back. "Captain, these files show that 17 other worlds have similar facilities. The HFY shared their research with other species. There are aliens across the galaxy who have been torturing humans for scientific study." Jake walked back to the command center. His crew was waiting for orders. Everyone could see the fury in his eyes. "Sandra, Target the planet with a modified quantum devastator. I want every alien down there to watch their world die slowly. I want them to feel the fear that our people felt in those laboratories. Targeting now, Captain. Fire. The modified weapon worked exactly as Amy had designed it. Instead of destroying everything quickly, the quantum field spread slowly across the planet. The aliens had time to see death coming for them. They tried to run, but there was nowhere to hide. Jake watched the planet die over 12 hours. Every alien city, every weapons factory, every torture facility was reduced to nothing. When it was over, Cathver Secondus was just another dead rock floating in space. Lisa, send a message to all alien species on all frequencies. Tell them that humanity has seen what they do to our people in secret. Tell them that we know about the 17 other worlds with human prisoners. Tell them that we're coming for all of them. Yes, sir. What else should I say? Jake looked out at the stars where other alien worlds were hiding human prisoners and conducting experiments on his people. Tell them that humanity's mercy has officially ended. Any species that has harmed humans in any way will share the same fate as the Cathver. We will reduce their worlds to wasteland and leave nothing alive. The UE's vengeance left the dead system and jumped to hyperspace toward the next target. Jake knew that his ship was now the most feared thing in the galaxy. Aliens who had once laughed at human weakness were now running in terror. But Jake wasn't interested in their fear. He was interested in their complete destruction. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity could be more dangerous than any nightmare they had ever imagined. The UE Vengeance had become the most feared ship in the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison now had a list of 43 worlds that had helped the Cathver kill humans. Some had sold weapons to the aliens. Others had provided fuel for their ships. A few had even participated directly in the torture and murder of human prisoners. Captain, said Kate Young, reading intelligence reports, the Metherian Republic is begging us to accept their surrender. They're offering to give us everything they own. Their president is personally asking for a meeting. Jake looked at the intelligence files on his screen. The Metherians had sold starship fuel to the Cathver for 3 years. They had known exactly what the fuel would be used for, but they had sold it anyway because the aliens paid them well. What did the Metherian president say when our colonies were being destroyed? Jake asked. Kate checked her records. He gave a public speech saying that humanity should learn to get along better with other species. He said that maybe if humans were more friendly, the Cathver wouldn't want to kill them. And now he wants to be our friend, Ryan Davis said from his tactical station. These aliens only care about being friendly when they're the ones in danger. Jake stood up and walked to the big window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Metherian Republic's 3 core worlds held over 8 billion aliens who had profited from human suffering. Lisa, send a message to the Metherian president. Tell him that humanity remembers his speech about us learning to get along better. Tell him that we're going to teach his people the same lesson that Cathver learned about getting along with humans. Yes, sir. Should I tell him anything else? Tell him that we have recordings of human children screaming in Cathver torture chambers. Ask him if he thinks those children should have been more friendly to their killers. The Vengeance jumped to hyperspace toward the first Metherian world. During the journey, Jake received more intelligence about other species that had helped the Cathvar. The picture that emerged made him sick with anger. Tony Martinez brought up star maps showing the locations of all the collaborator worlds. Captain, look at this. The aliens had a whole network set up. The Veltharians provided slave markets where they sold captured humans. The Zorkali built special prison ships. The hegemony of Krell provided medical equipment for the torture facilities. Dr. Carl Bennett was studying alien communication intercepts. Sir, I've been reading their diplomatic messages from during the war. They weren't just helping the Kethver. They were planning to divide up human space after we were extinct. They had already decided which species would get which human worlds. Amy Wells was modifying the Quantum Devastator again. Captain, I've developed a new setting for the weapon. Instead of destroying everything, it can target only the cities and leave the natural environment alone. The aliens will have nice empty worlds to think about what they did. Explain, Jake said. The quantum field can be programmed to only affect artificial structures and living beings in those structures. Trees, animals, and natural features will survive. But every city, every town, every building will be gone. The survivors will have to live in the wilderness and think about why their civilization ended. Jake liked that idea. These aliens had lived comfortable lives while humans died. Now they could see what it was like to lose everything. Do it, Amy. Let's give them a lesson they'll never forget. When the Vengeance arrived at the first Mytherian world, Jake was amazed by what he saw. The planet was covered with beautiful cities, full of tall towers and parks. The Mytherians had used their profits from selling fuel to the Kethvar to build themselves a paradise. Helen, how many aliens are on the planet? Jake asked. 3 billion, sir. They're trying to evacuate, but they don't have enough ships. Most of them are stuck down there. Jake opened a communication channel to the planet's surface. This is Captain Morrison of the human ship Vengeance. I want to speak to whoever is in charge down there. A few minutes later, an alien appeared on the main screen. President Morthak was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms. He was clearly terrified. Captain Morrison, please don't destroy our world. We're willing to pay any price for peace. We can give you technology, resources, anything you want. President Morthak, Jake said calmly, 3 years ago you sold fuel to the Kethver. You knew they were using it to power ships that killed human families. When asked about the war, you said humans should be more friendly. Do you remember that? Captain, we didn't know the Kethver would be so brutal. We thought it was just a normal territorial dispute. We never wanted humans to be hurt. Jake looked at intelligence reports on his screen. My records show that your government knew exactly what the Kethver were doing. You had detailed reports about the torture facilities. You knew about the human children being experimented on. You sold them fuel anyway because they paid you well. President Morthak's blue skin turned pale. He realized that humans had proof of everything his government had done. Captain, please. Our people didn't make these decisions. It was just the government. Most of our citizens never wanted to hurt humans. Your citizens elected that government, Jake replied. Your people profited from human suffering. Your news media celebrated every time the Kethver won a battle against us. You all share responsibility for what happened. Jake cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Sandra, use Amy's new setting. Destroy every city, every town, every building on the planet. Leave the forests and oceans alone. Let the survivors think about their choices while they try to survive in the wilderness. Targeting all artificial structures, Captain. Ready to fire. Fire. The modified Quantum Devastator worked perfectly. Jake watched on the main screen as every Mytherian city simply vanished. The beautiful towers, the parks, the government buildings, everything was gone in seconds. But the forests remained green, and the oceans stayed blue. 3 billion aliens were suddenly homeless on their own world. They had gone from living in luxury to having nothing but the clothes on their backs. Those who survived would spend the rest of their lives remembering why their civilization ended. Captain, Helen Brooks said, I'm detecting survivors scattered across the planet. About 2 billion made it out of the cities before we fired. Good, Jake said. Let them live with the consequences of their decisions. Tony, set course for the next Mytherian world. Over the next month, Jake systematically destroyed collaborator worlds across the galaxy. Each species learned the same lesson. The Veltharians, who had operated slave markets selling humans, watched their core worlds become empty wastelands. The Zor Kali, who had built prison ships, saw their entire fleet and all their space stations destroyed. Dr. Bennett was documenting everything for the historical record. Captain, we've now eliminated 17 species that actively collaborated with the Kethvar. Word is spreading to other aliens that humanity is not taking prisoners. Kate Young was monitoring alien communications across the galaxy. Sir, the remaining species are in complete panic. Some of them are trying to flee to other galaxies. Others are building bunkers deep underground. They're all terrified that we'll come for them next. Are any of them on our list? Jake asked. A few minor species that provided supplies to the Kethvar. But Captain, I'm also detecting something interesting. Some alien species are hunting down Kethvar survivors and killing them. They're trying to show us that they're on humanity's side now. Jake wasn't impressed. They're only doing that because they're afraid of us. Where were they when humans needed help? The Vengeance continued its mission of systematic destruction. Each world that had contributed to human suffering was reduced to either a dead rock or an empty wasteland. Jake felt no guilt about what he was doing. These aliens had made their choices when they decided that human lives didn't matter. As they traveled from system to system, Jake received regular reports from Earth. Admiral Rodriguez was building more ships equipped with quantum devastators. Humanity was preparing to make sure that no alien species would ever again think that humans were easy targets. Captain, Lisa Parker said, we're getting a transmission from an alien species we've never heard of before. They call themselves the Tribunal of Stars. They say they want to surrender to humanity and beg for mercy. Tell them the same thing I told all the others, Jake replied. Humanity offered mercy for 5 years while our people were being killed. That time is over. If they help the Kethvar in any way, they'll share the same fate. Jake looked out at the stars and thought about all the human children who had died in alien torture chambers. He thought about the families who had been murdered on peaceful colonies. He thought about the monuments made from human bones. The galaxy had wanted to see humanity extinct. Instead, they had learned that humans could be more dangerous than any monster they had ever imagined. Jake was going to make sure that lesson was never forgotten. The UES Vengeance jumped to hyperspace toward the next target. There were still more collaborator worlds to visit, and Jake had plenty of time to teach the galaxy about human justice. 6 months after Operation Scorched Stars began, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance as it approached Earth. The ship that had left as humanity's last hope was returning as the most feared weapon in the galaxy. Behind them lay 47 dead worlds and the complete extinction of the Kethvar species. Captain, said Lisa Parker, Earth Fleet Command is asking for our final mission report. Admiral Rodriguez wants to see you as soon as we dock. Jake looked at the data pad in his hands. It contained detailed records of every world they had destroyed, every alien species they had eliminated, and every act of revenge they had carried out in humanity's name. The numbers were staggering, but Jake felt no regret. Lisa, transmit our complete mission logs to Fleet Command. Make sure they get everything, including the evidence we collected from each world. Dr. Carl Bennett had spent the journey home organizing all the intelligence they had gathered. Captain, the evidence is overwhelming. Every species we destroyed had directly participated in the attempted genocide of humanity. The torture facilities, the slave markets, the weapons deals, it's all documented. Tony Martinez was monitoring space traffic around Earth. Sir, I'm seeing something interesting. There are no alien ships anywhere in the solar system. Usually we have diplomatic vessels and trade ships from dozens of species. Now there's nothing. Kate Young was listening to alien communications from across the galaxy. Captain, I think I know why. The remaining alien species are too afraid to come near human space. They're calling our solar system the Death Zone now. Any alien ship that gets close to Earth immediately turns around and flees. As the Vengeance docked at Earth's main orbital station, Jake could see the changes that had happened while they were gone. The station was 3 times bigger than when they left, and it was covered with weapons platforms. Humanity had been busy, preparing for any alien species that might want revenge. Admiral Claire Rodriguez met Jake at the docking bay. She looked older than when he had last seen her, but there was satisfaction in her eyes. Jake, welcome home. The Global Council wants to hear your report personally. The whole world has been following your mission. Admiral, how are the rebuilding efforts going? Jake asked as they walked through the station corridors. Better than expected. We've started new colonies on 12 worlds that used to belong to species you eliminated. The planets you left as empty wastelands are perfect for human settlement. We're calling them the Memorial Worlds, in honor of the humans who died in the war. They entered the main conference room, where the Global Council was waiting. Jake recognized the faces of world leaders who had authorized Operation Scorched Stars. President Sarah Walsh of the United Earth Government stood up when Jake entered. Captain Morrison, on behalf of all humanity, thank you. You've accomplished something that seemed impossible 6 months ago. The species that tried to extinct us no longer exist. Jake placed his datapad on the conference table. Madam President, everything is in my report. We eliminated the Kethver completely. We destroyed every species that helped them. We reduced 47 worlds to either dead rocks or empty wastelands. The galaxy now knows that humanity is not to be threatened. General Marcus Stone, head of Earth's military, leaned forward. Captain, what's the current status of alien military forces? Are any of them still capable of threatening Earth? No, sir. The species that had strong militaries either helped the Kethver and were destroyed, or they're now too afraid to even enter human space. The remaining aliens are weak species that never had the power to threaten us anyway. Dr. Bennett stepped forward with a holographic display. If I may, sirs and madams, I'd like to show you what we discovered about the aliens' plans for humanity. The hologram showed a map of the galaxy with human worlds marked in red. This is what the galaxy looked like before the war. 12 human colonies scattered across this region. The map changed to show alien territories. And this is what the aliens had planned for after they eliminated us. They had already decided which species would get which human worlds. Earth itself was going to be divided between the Kethver and their strongest allies. President Walsh shook her head. They were so confident that they could wipe us out that they had already divided up our property. Yes, ma'am, Jake said. They saw humans as weak creatures who would be easy to eliminate. They never expected us to fight back the way we did. Admiral. Rodriguez activated another display. Jake, I want to show you what we've been building while you were gone. The screen showed new ships under construction in Earth's orbital shipyards. They were even bigger than the Vengeance, and they all carried quantum devastator arrays. We now have 12 ships equipped with planet-killer weapons. We're calling them the Extinction Fleet. Every ship is commanded by an officer who lost family. Members in the war. They're all as motivated as you were. Jake studied the new ships. What's their mission, Admiral? Patrol duty. These ships will travel throughout the galaxy, making sure that every alien species remembers what happens when humans are threatened. If any species starts to get ideas about challenging us again, they'll be eliminated immediately. General Stone brought up intelligence reports. Captain, we're already seeing the effects of your mission. Several alien species have begun worshipping humans as gods. They build temples with our pictures and pray to us for protection from other aliens. Kate Young, who had been quiet during the briefing, spoke up. Sirs, if I may. During our mission, I monitored alien communications constantly. The galaxy has completely changed. Species that used to trade with each other now suspect each other of secretly planning to anger humanity. Some aliens are so afraid that they won't even leave their home systems. President Walsh smiled. Good. Fear will keep them in line where diplomacy failed. Jake was offered the choice of any assignment he wanted. He could have retired to a comfortable life on Earth, but he made a different choice. Admiral Rodriguez, I request command of one of the new extinction fleet ships. This war taught me that humans can't trust alien species to keep their word. We need to be ready to eliminate any threat before it grows strong enough to challenge. U.S. Granted, Captain. You'll command the UES Retribution, our newest and most powerful ship. Your mission will be to patrol former Kethver space and make sure it stays empty. 2 weeks later, Jake stood on the bridge of his new ship as it left. Earth orbit. The UES Retribution was twice the size of the Vengeance and carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Most of his old crew had volunteered to serve with him on the new ship. Amy Wells, now promoted to chief engineer, had designed new weapons that made the original Quantum Devastator look weak. Captain, with our new systems, we can destroy multiple planets at once. If we ever find a species that's getting too aggressive, we can eliminate their entire civilization in one day. As they traveled through space toward their patrol zone, Jake looked at the empty systems where alien worlds used to exist. Where billions of hostile creatures had once lived, there was now only silence and drifting asteroids. Helen Brooks, monitoring. Sensor readings reported what they found in each system. Captain, the dead worlds are already breaking apart. In a few years, there will be nothing left but asteroid fields. It's like those civilizations never existed. Jake nodded approvingly. Perfect. Let them be monuments to what happens when someone threatens humanity. The Retribution's first patrol lasted 3 months. They visited every system that had once belonged to species that helped the Kethver. In each system, they found the same thing: dead worlds and empty space. The aliens that had celebrated human deaths were gone forever. During the patrol, they encountered a few small alien ships. These were survivors from species that Jake had eliminated, trying to find new homes in the empty systems. Jake's orders were clear. No survivors, he told Sandra Phillips, who was still his weapons officer. Anyone connected to the species that helped kill humans must be eliminated. The alien ships were destroyed without warning. Jake felt no guilt about killing the survivors. They had been part of civilizations that chose to help with humanity's genocide. The sins of their species were their sins too. When the Retribution returned to Earth after its first patrol, Jake filed his report with Fleet Command. All systems secured. No alien presence detected in former Kethver space. The dead zones are stable and will remain uninhabitable for thousands of years. Admiral Rodriguez reviewed the report with satisfaction. Excellent work, Jake. The other extinction fleet ships are reporting similar results from their patrol zones. The galaxy is learning to fear humanity. Jake looked at the star charts showing human expansion into former alien territory. New colonies were being established on worlds that had once belonged to humanity's enemies. The human population was growing rapidly, and Earth's influence was spreading across the galaxy. Admiral, Jake said, I've been thinking about our long-term strategy. Right now, the aliens are afraid of us, but fear fades with time. Eventually, some species will forget what we did and start thinking about challenging us again. What do you suggest? We need to make sure they never forget. I propose that we establish permanent monuments in the dead systems. Giant structures. That will tell the story of what happened to the species that tried to destroy human-it.